Well, hello there. So we're talking about Carmen, an opera that Friedrich Nietzsche called that sunny, beautiful opera. Well, as we'll find out, of course, the first act is sunny and beautiful. After that, it gets pretty dark. So what I'd like to do is summarize the opera for you in dramatic terms. I would like to talk about Aristotle's values of plot. Remember, that's the arrangement of events. It's causality working in a time-space continuum. It's concerned with time and causality. I'd like to talk about character, the glory of opera, and two of the most glorious characters in all of opera. Jean José, that violent introvert, and Carmen, that mythical femme fatale. So, when the two get together, it becomes combustible. The entire plot becomes very combustible. So, and I'd also like to talk about theme, but let me remind you that when we talk about theme, we're talking about obvious meaning, but you will have a particular personal interpretation, which I completely embrace, right? So don't feel like it has to mean what I say it means or think it means. You have your own, right? Heroine or hero, and an individual theme. So here we go. Plot, character, theme, and we'll talk about images and ideas a bit. You know me. Here are our four characters. Micaela and Escamillo, these are supporting characters, although they never meet in the opera. And we'll talk more about that later. And José, in French, you Spanish speakers, José is pronounced José. And the mythical femme fatale, Carmen. Now, the plot itself is, I'm sure you know, a fairly mechanical thing. There is a pre-story, and it's never good to forget about this. Pre-story is what happens before the opera begins, and it's very important because José has a very important personal past, which we gradually learn about. For example, he is a killer before he joined the army. He also was a sportsman. He played pelota, soccer, very passionately. The first part of the plot, in other words, the first act of a four-act plot, is generally the exposition, where you get to know the characters, the environment, and so on. And the themes appear pretty obvious. The second part is the complication or the rising action. This will occur in the second and third acts, and generally it will rise powerfully to a climax, at which point the falling action or denouement or the unraveling will occur. This is a standard plot of your television show, operas, dramas, even to some degree novels. Okay? So that's very clear. Now, you'll remember that I use this bridge idea so that I can put in various kinds of terms and things like that. So, just very quickly, there is a backstory or a pre-story that we will discover throughout the opera. There is the exposition, and part of that will be Carmen's introductory aria, the habanera, and she will later sing yet another little aria, the seguidilla. This all is in Act 1. We meet Micaela, Carmen, and José in Act 1. Act 2, we meet Escamillo, who immediately introduces a new kind of passion and jealousy into the opera, because he immediately goes after Carmen, who is waiting on José to get out of jail. So, we automatically have a conflict introduced here. And then there is the conflict seemingly always between Carmen and José. Now, I'll speak later about this magnificent aria of José's, And the two different kinds of arias in this opera, both very important. Just a brief summary, Carmen and Escamillo, the two more public figures in the opera, sing what we call entrance arias or introductory arias, in which we get to know their characters perfectly. That's the first aria they sing, and you know everything about them you need to know. I spoke about this also in La Bohème. Whereas both the introverted José and the young and excitable Micaela have arias which fit into the plot and which advance the plot and show complexity of character. They don't expose the character, they develop the character in very powerful ways. I'll show you this a little bit later. The opera climaxes with the third act finale. It is a phenomenon we will also see in La Traviata, which is coming up. These are great works of art here. We'll go into that in some detail. And then the fourth act is the dénouement, or the unraveling. And in Carmen, it takes the shape of one of the most magnificent duets in all of opera. So thanks, and we'll come back with Act 1 in just a minute.